guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a storytime video for you. I know in my last storytime video where I talked about why my dad didn't come to my wedding, I mentioned that I had kidney stones, and one of you guys commented to say that you would like to hear about that kidney stone story. So I'll leave the name just here in the comment. It's from Anon, and he said would be interested in the kidney stone video. So that's what I'm going to film today. It's a bit of a different video for my channel. I know this video is not for everyone, but it might give you a bit of an idea of what sort of symptoms to look out for and what to do in this sort of a situation. But also bear in mind that your symptoms might be completely different as well. This is just what I went through. So on the day that I found out about my kidney stones, I went to work just as normal. I used to work at a spa. I was a beauty therapist at the time. It wasn't too long after my husband had come to the UK, and my workday went completely as normal. I came home, I ate my food as normal, and I was preparing for bed, and I just felt a real pain in my stomach, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. It was just sort of in the middle of my stomach. It was just quite it's bearable pain, but I just kept massaging it. My husband helped me massage it, and it just wasn't going away. And eventually the pain travelled a bit further down towards my hip and then round at the back of my body as well. And again, it was still bearable, and then it began to travel up to my rib, just below my rib cage, and that's when the pain got really, really intense. It was so painful, and it kept coming in waves as well. If I could say, mark it out of a 10, it was 10, definitely. I've not known any pain like it. I have read that kidney stone pain is one of the worst pains a human body can endure. I've looked into it. It's a comparable to giving birth, and everyone laughs at me when I say this, but apparently it's the closest a man is going to get to knowing what birth feels like. And just like birth, it comes in waves and it goes away and it comes back, goes away. So it comes and reaches that peak and then drops again, and then a few minutes later it'll come to that peak again. And I just didn't know what to do when that pain hit. I couldn't sit, stand or anything. Nothing I did helped with that pain. I didn't want my husband to touch me. I didn't want anyone to touch me. I didn't know whether I should sit down, lie down, stand up. I had no idea what to do. Especially putting any pressure on my right side, on my right leg. I would feel that pain right in my back. I'm not somebody that takes painkillers either, so it didn't even cross my mind to think about taking any painkillers. I remember calling 111, and they suggested that I should take some paracetamol and ibuprofen, and I should wait to see if the pain is still there, and if it is, then I should call A&E. So that's what I did. I took some paracetamol and ibuprofen, and the pain did ease off a little bit, and I thought, oh great, I can sleep this off maybe in the morning I'll feel a lot better. So I said to my husband, let's just lay down for a bit. And then probably about 10 minutes after, that pain was back. It was so sharp. It was all on my right side as well. And I think when you think about the right side, you do worry as well that it might be appendicitis. I remember turning to my husband at one point and just saying, ask my brother to call A&E. We're the kind of family that have never been to A&E before. We've never seen the need to go to A&E. And like I said, I've never taken any medication. I don't tend to take medication if I'm not well. So for me to ask to go to A&E, it was a pretty big deal, and you can imagine the pain that I was in. And like I said, that ibuprofen, that paracetamol, it wasn't taking any of that pain away. So my brother called the ambulance. They went through their questions about my symptoms, and is the patient still breathing, is the patient awake, are they alert? And of course, because I was able to speak back. I wish I never had now, and the next time anything like this happens, I won't be speaking back to the paramedic. I'll just let the other person speak for me, because I ended up waiting 2 hours. They saw me as a non-emergency case because I was still alert. An hour in, we called back and they said that they were still sending somebody in, and an hour after that I called back again and they asked if I could make my own way, not me personally, but if somebody can drive me to A&E. And I just wish that they'd told me that 2 hours ago, because I'd gone through so much pain in that 2 hours. Like, honestly, it was unbearable. And also there's so much paracetamol and ibuprofen that you can take. I think it's every 4 hours or something that you can top it up, so I couldn't top it up in that 2 hours, but I was still feeling the same as I did before I'd even taken them. So anyway, my mum decided that she was going to take me to A&E. I couldn't make it down the stairs. I was really struggling. My husband had to almost carry me down the stairs. I got to the front door and he was trying to pick me up because we've got some steps down to the gate, and I remember him picking me up and I just threw up on it. So embarrassing. I threw up everywhere. I just couldn't hold it in. It came out of nowhere. And then he carried me sort of into the car where my mum was waiting, and we drove down to A&E. Of course, told them my symptoms and everything, and we sat down, we took a seat. They asked us to wait. They didn't tell us how long we'd have to wait. This was probably about 2 a.m. in the morning. The pain started around 10:30, and it was up until about 12ish that I called 999, and then at 2 a.m. I was told to go into A&E myself. So I turned up to A&E, and that's what happened. They asked us to wait, and there I am in A&E. Everybody's looking completely fine, completely normal, but I'm sure they're there for good reason, and I'm there just sat up, laid down, trying to find a comfortable position, and the only position I found comfortable was on my left knee. So I was leaning on my left knee with my right leg straight out, no pressure on the right leg, and then I've got the chair in front of me with my arms on top of the chair like this, head down. That is the only position I found comfortable. No other position was comfortable for me, and again that pain was still there. My mum was rubbing my back. You know, there came a moment where I just wanted to ask them on reception just to give me some more painkillers. Got to about 6 a.m. So I've been waiting there for 4 hours before I'd even been seen. Went into the triage room and a lady asked me about my symptoms, why I thought I needed help, medical help. And I must say I found the lady quite rude, but you know, she took all my details and everything. She noted everything, and then she gave me a wristband with my name and date of birth on it, and she told me to take a seat in another waiting area. So I sat in the waiting room, and not long after another nurse came and took me to a bed. And then I remember a doctor coming in. He could just see the amount of pain that I was in, asked me where the pain was, and straight away he was like, that's either kidney stones or that's an ectopic pregnancy. So yeah, I remember being really scared. So at that point I knew it was kidney stones. He had the nurses give me morphine. So I was laying on the bed, I had my cannula in, and they fed morphine through the cannula, and I could feel it. It's such a weird feeling. I could feel it running through my body. I feel it down my legs and everything as well. They said that they would put 10 units in or something. Is that what it's called? I don't know. And they asked me, you know, to let them know when the pain had reduced. So we got to about 8, and I was like, you know, I feel really good. I feel great. So don't need to go any further. The girls were lovely, the doctor was really nice as well. I felt really good. I could actually sit up now comfortably, and the problem was I needed the toilet. I hadn't been to the toilet for a while, so because I felt confident enough that I didn't feel the pain as much, I decided to get up to try and go to the toilet. As soon as I got up, that pain was back. I was straight back on that bed. I couldn't walk at all. So that feeling, that wonderful feeling of the morphine didn't last at all. We let the nurses know again that the pain is back, but they couldn't give me any more morphine because I'd had too much in my body. So they gave me some more paracetamol and ibuprofen through a drip because it had already been 4 hours, more than 4 hours, so that they could give it to me again. And again, that helped quite a bit. They then wheeled me into a ward. I don't know if I should call it a ward. It was just, there were walls on either side, and then a bed, walls and a bed. So it wasn't curtains or anything, and it wasn't a room, it was just like a corridor. They put me in there. Again, my mum and my husband with me. There were chairs there so they could sit down as well. I was just not great. Like every 10 minutes I was like buzzing for a nurse. Just give me something, give me something else, I was just begging for any sort of pain relief. And they were keeping me in to see, you know, how my pain levels were doing, and to see if they can get scans in, just to see what was wrong with me. And I remember those nurses being so rude. Well, they were, I don't know if rude is the right word, but they were just so, I don't know how to explain it. We were of course, in our little cubicle, and I could see them across from me, and it was like a reception desk or something, and they were all crowded there, they were all laughing, joking, and I was there in pain. And I remember my husband was like, "Excuse me," and they were just like, "What does she want?" So yes, I thought they were really rude. Eventually they came over and they decided to give me something else, a drug called diclofenac. The one that she gave me at the time, it was a liquid that went up my other end, and it was the best drug. Oh my god, I felt so much better, and I could actually sit up again. That whole time before then I was laying down, I was laying on my left, just stroking my back. So yeah, I just felt so much better. I could lay on my back again, and I just felt so much more normal. I could see my mum and my husband, they were tired. I was tired. We've been awake all night at this point. It was going towards 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And then they called me down for the scan. I was having an ultrasound done just to see what it was, I guess to see if there was an ectopic pregnancy or whether there was anything that looked a bit funny on the scan for my kidneys. Went through the scan fine. Obviously I couldn't see what was on the screen, and if I could, I wouldn't know what was going on, but I could hear lots of clicking, and then they put me back into that cubicle that I was in. So I saw my mum and my husband again. We decided now that I felt a teeny bit better that I would rest a little bit while my mum and my husband went home, so that my husband can rest for work later on in the evening, and then my mum could rest as well, come back in the afternoon with some food. So that's what they did. My husband left and my mum came back later on in the afternoon. Again, that diclofenac eventually did wear off and I needed some more ibuprofen and paracetamol, and they were giving me some anti-sickness drugs, I don't know what they were, just to make sure that I didn't throw up all my painkillers. And I remember another doctor coming to see me, again she was also lovely, and she's like, "Oh, you poor thing, you're in a lot of pain, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm in lots of pain." And she said that if my pain didn't reduce, they would send me to the other hospital, the one that's closer to my house, so that I could have x-rays done, because something did come up on my ultrasound scan in my kidneys. It just looked a bit fuzzy. She also told me that my kidney was inflamed. I can't remember if she said whether there was an infection there or not, but I remember her telling me that it was inflamed and that was also what's causing the pain. So about an hour later, I still wasn't getting any better. I was still constantly asking for drugs and they just kept giving me different things. And then they decided that they were going to transfer me to the other hospital. They wheeled me out of the hospital in a wheelchair, and then they put me in an ambulance and drove me to the other hospital. When I arrived at the other hospital, of course, they took all my details as they did before. They asked me if I'd eaten anything, and I said no, so they gave me some lunch. It was disgusting. They didn't give my mum anything, so I let her share some of mine. It was about 4 p.m. at that point. I remember them taking bloods. I can't remember if they took bloods at the hospital previous, but I remember them taking bloods. I remember them giving me something so that I could wee in that rather than wee in the toilet, because they wanted to collect my wee to see what came out. And again, I don't remember them giving me anything to wee in the last hospital. And then they put me on a ward. My mum had told my dad and my brother that I was in that hospital, and soon after my dad came, my brother came and my uncle came to visit me. And I just remember laying on the bed, I was drifting off, I was so tired, but I was in loads of pain as well. And they kept telling me that there was only one doctor on the ward and he was upstairs at the moment. He was then going to come downstairs and he was going to see to everybody downstairs. So at this point I'd gone from 4 p.m. probably from the other hospital. I feel like it was nearing 8 p.m. that I hadn't had any painkillers. So you can imagine, again, the amount of pain that I was in. Eventually I got super tired, I couldn't wait anymore and I fell asleep. And then I think maybe about an hour later I woke up. The nurse had come as well to see me and she told me that the doctor had been. So there was no way I was going to get any painkillers again. She didn't want to wake me up because I guess if you're sleeping then you're quite comfortable. And I also remember her telling me to drink lots of water. Again, they told me that at the last hospital. They kept telling me to drink water, drink water, drink water. And again, she's telling me in this hospital. And for some reason when she said it, I thought, this is quite a few times that I've been told to drink water. Am I dehydrated? What's going on? And then eventually they took me down for an x-ray. So yeah, it was quite late on. They took me down for an x-ray and they put me on the bed and they were going to take an x-ray of my stomach. That was really quick. They were really, really lovely in that x-ray room. The radiologists were lovely and they put me at ease, because I think it is a bit scary when you have an x-ray done and everyone's behind the screen and you're the only one there. So they made it a lot less stressful. Wheeled me back to my ward, and at that point they told me that they were going to keep me in at night because my pain was still there. And my mum asked if she could stay with me. Because I was moving off the ward, she can't stay with me. If I was to stay in the ward, then she would have been able to. And I think that's really weird, because on the ward, when there's everybody else there, I know there wasn't anyone on that particular day, but if there were other people in the ward, you wouldn't want to have you or your relatives might not want to stay. But if you're in your own room, I can see why your relatives would want to stay and you'd want to have them there. So it didn't make sense. But yeah, she ended up putting me in a room on my own. I had my own ensuite, which was nice. It was nice to have my own space. And my mum had to leave. Luckily she'd brought me a few things. She'd gone back home to pick me a few things up before she had to leave. She got me a blanket, which I really needed. It was freezing cold in that hospital. And they gave me some more drugs. Everything they gave me this time was oral, so they gave me oral diclofenac. And they also gave me, again, something to help with sickness. And you know, they would come round every now and then and just give me some drugs, paracetamol, ibuprofen, codeine. I think I remember taking codeine before I was left for the night. So when you mix codeine and paracetamol together, it's the same as taking cocodamol, so it's a highly powerful painkiller. So yeah, knocked me out completely. So happy about that. I remember sleeping quite well that night. I don't remember waking up at any point. And in the morning they came around and brought me some breakfast. And eventually they said that because it was a 5mm and a 3mm that there wasn't much that they would do about it, that it was up to me to wee them out naturally, and that the pain was because as the stone was leaving my kidney it caused a lot of pain, and because it was so big it caused my kidney to inflame. And they said that the 3mm one shouldn't be too painful and that they were going to discharge me. I did get a little bit upset. I was a bit worried about being discharged because, you know, I guess it's just they've got all the medicine, haven't they? And I was scared what might happen, so I didn't want to go home. I thought being in the hospital was the safest place for me to be in. And the nurse reassured me. Again, she was also really lovely. She reassured me that I would be fine. They said that I should come back in a couple of weeks' time, that they'd book an appointment for me to come back in just to see how I was getting on, do a couple more x-rays. I asked them about work as well, what I should do about work, because the job that I did was quite a physical job. You know, I was doing massages, facials, all sorts, and I was up and downstairs constantly. So I asked them if it was safe for me to go back into work, and they said that they were going to write me a 2-week sick note, and they also said that 2 weeks should take me to my next appointment. And I was just waiting then to be discharged. I waited a really long time to be discharged. I thought I was going to leave at 10 AM that morning, and it was until 5 PM that all my drugs came. So until those drugs were there, I wasn't discharged. These were the drugs that I was going to take home with me. Anyway, so I got home, lots of people asking me about how I was doing and everything like that, all the people in the area, lots of people came to visit me. My older brother sent me some flowers, so it was really, really nice. I did feel a lot better by the end of the first week, and I probably felt, to be honest, ready to go back to work, but then I didn't want to overdo it as well because I was still aware of that kidney. And then the 2 weeks came, I went to my next appointment, got scanned again, and 1 kidney stone had already come out, which I didn't know about. I didn't feel it. I might have been drugged up at that point. I kind of weaned myself off the painkillers, so it might have come out while I was still on them, and there weren't any in there anymore. They told me that I should look at my diet, that I shouldn't have too many meats, and that I should drink lots of water. I remember thinking to myself at the time that yes, I didn't drink enough water, but I barely ate meat. I still barely eat meat. I think because we eat so much meat at home, you know, we've always got either a chicken curry or a mutton curry, that I just get bored and I decide that I want to have veggie curries. And I remember eating lots of salads at work, and I would ask my mum to cook me veggie curries. I only really ate once a day. If I was working, then I wouldn't eat at home. So it just didn't make any sense to me. The water I got, because I never drank water when I worked at the spa. I avoided water like the plague because because I had treatments that lasted over an hour. I had treatments that lasted 2.5 hours, and I didn't want to be the one to say, excuse me, you know, in the middle of a massage, excuse me, but I need the toilet. You could do it in facials, you could leave the room for a bit in the facials when they've got the masks on, you leave the room, come back, I'll leave you with that on for a few minutes. You don't even have to tell them, they just don't know. But with the massage, I didn't want to need the toilet. Unless my client needed the toilet, I could also go to the toilet, but if they didn't, then I wouldn't. Of course I'd go before and after, but with me, water runs through my system so quickly that if I had water half an hour later, I'd need to go to the toilet. So I decided, you know, not to drink as much. It was the summer, so it was really, really warm. And, you know, when you work in a spa as well, there's a lot of heat in a spa. Our rooms were kept quite warm so that they were comfortable for the clients. So I was constantly dehydrated. So I increased my water intake while I was off. Bought a bottle, took a bottle to work all the time, and they told me that I would have a follow-up appointment in a year's time. So that was last year, last January, February I think it was, and again they scanned me. I had a different person at the time, and he was surprised that a CAT scan wasn't done, whereas the time before, the year before, they told me that they didn't do a CAT scan because I was still really young, and a CAT scan's quite invasive. So then this time when I went round in last year, they told me that they were surprised that a CAT scan wasn't done because there was a kidney in there again. I asked about the meat, the diet related topic as well. I asked about the meat, whether I should be, you know, worried about how much meat I eat, and he just said that there wasn't enough backing for that. So I decided I was just going to continue eating as normal, but just drink lots of water. The stone that was in there was 3mm, so I wasn't too worried about it. I thought if it comes out, it's not going to be too painful. And then again, he booked me in for another year to have another scan done. So that was earlier this year. So they did the scan earlier this year again, and then I got the results in the post. I don't remember speaking to anybody about it this time round, but I got the results in the post, and that nothing has changed since my last scan. That 3mm kidney stone is still in there. It's still in the same position. I am fine. I've been fine since that whole thing happened. Sometimes I feel like I can feel it. Not the stone, but I can feel my kidney. And I decided to take it a little bit easy, decided to drink lots more water. But most of the time I don't feel any different. The water does help, I think, because your kidneys are what take waste from your fluid waste from your diet and flush it out through your kidneys, through your bladder. So I think it's encouraged to go into the bladder and clear the kidney. I think when you come away from these things, at first you're really, really good about it. And, you know, at first I was drinking 2 litres of water, I was making sure that I was doing it every day. And now, like, I don't even drink 1 litre. I try and drink at least a litre, but sometimes I don't always. And I think you just forget about what you've been through. Because it's been so long, it's almost 2 full years now. So yeah, so you just forget about it. I'm glad to know that you know, nothing new has formed in the kidney. Like, I've still got that 1 stone that I had from a year ago. I don't know when it's going to come out, and when it does, I don't know if I'm going to feel it or not. They have said that they would scan me again next year, so I'm just really, really grateful for them constantly checking up with me again and making sure, you know, that everything's still fine. But new stones haven't formed. I'm very, very grateful for that. So yeah, so that was my experience. I've got other story times as well, another hospital visit that I had, another scare that I had, but this one would be more helpful for women because it's about HPV. So if you guys want to see a video on that, of course I will film it. I just won't encourage men to watch it, it's a bit TMI, but again I think it'll be really, really helpful for women. If you like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you'd like to see that video or any other videos. And that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry it's been a really long one, but hopefully it's been informative and you know what to look out for if you ever did fall into that same position. Take care and I'll see you next time. Bye!